maybe they'll have one for the second one. So the book tells us that Simone Biles has not lost an all-around competition since 2013. That's crazy, right? Starting from the 2011 when she lost the all-around, she made it her mission to win it, and she won every single one of them. And yet in 2021, the Olympics, she pulled out of those competitions. And so it never came out to say, but everyone was just like, well, it's for her mental health. It's for her mental health. She was out there cheering on her teammates. First of all, so commendable. I get chills every time I just think about that act alone. But do you think that this great athlete pulling out to protect her mental health, do you think that that will change the stigma of mental health in the Black community? I personally think that it's a step in another kind of direction. I think that there's a split, especially even in my household, even in my family, that that we have those who say, you know what, mental health is real. Get a counselor, talk to someone, go to the doctor, find out what's going on within you. And then you have some that say, no, it's all in your head. It's white people stuff. Read the Bible. I mean, you always have that split narrative. But I think that now, with doing something so publicly, something so detrimental to her career, I think that now it's going to be like oh, wait a second. What do you mean about mental health? What exactly is mental health? Depression, it's so much more than just depression. And what is depression? Let me look into these things. I think now it's going to cause at least some kind of questions, and now it's not going to be more of a dismissive attitude.
I think it's going, especially for Black athletes, it's going to, well, really for all athletes, but particularly for Black athletes, it's going to cause them to question, like, who's in control of your body?
Mm-hmm.
Like who can tell you when you need to get up and go, when you have to go and work out, when you have to go and be at a commercial shoot and all these different things. Like, it's more athletes becoming more aware of their power and their control over their own future and lives and things like that.
Before I say, do y'all have any comments?
I want to hear Ms. social work a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I agree that it'll help shift what people think about mental health. I know that I did gymnastics when I was around 7 to 12, however old, and I got injured on bars, and
makes me think of a moment in the book she talks about, and I didn't know whether to smile or get so angry because you see it so often. So one of her coaches, what happens is she thinks that she's ready because she has been told her whole life, she's natural at this. She can do it. And so she does this really, really hard trick, and she falls on her back on the concrete. She misses the mat and falls on her back. And she's, terrified and she's upset about it, and her coach makes her get up and do it again. To me, that's very, not triggering that my mom would just torture me or anything like that, but in a way that it's that, okay, pick up your bootstraps, keep it going, you'll make it kind of thing. And so, she, even in the book goes, I was so furious with her because how dare you make me? Because her coach basically told her, either get up and do it or get out. And so, and of course, that same trick ended up landing her first all around. But at the same time, she pushed her too soon. And she said, and I did not feel ready. And I left mad and angry for so long, but I thank her now. And I'm like, it's so many times, I feel like you see this talent in me. I don't know if you're pushing me because you want me to be better, or you're pushing me because you want to gain from me. At what point are you pushing me for my benefit, or are you pushing it for your own self-interest? And so, I don't know, that was very triggering in a way that, like, it's the older people know best kind of thing. And so, yeah.
I have a question. Did you have any,
No, go for it.
I was going to say, did you have any situations where you felt like you could look back and say, okay, well, I got here, or do you feel like you could have gotten to where you had without certain bad situations? Did you have any at all, I guess I should say?
I won't be specific about mine. Yes, the answer is yes. I won't be like real specific about mine, but what I will say is I can piggyback on that story. The purpose of her telling her to do that again right there was because she was afraid the first time she did it. That's why she fell. So her coach knew that because she fell, she's now more afraid. So if she don't get up and do that right now and do it again, she's not going to get it.
Right.
And one thing that that's a struggle, and why I think that mental health, especially for athletes, is so important, because what you just said, there's a super fine line between, like, coach and dictator.
Absolutely.
Like, it's
Yeah.
the thinnest line you've ever seen.
Right.
And like you just said, how much of this is for me and how much of this is not.
Right.
And while you're an athlete in it at the time, it is almost impossible to tell the difference.
Absolutely. And how do you say no when they hold your future?
Right. But also, think about, like, half the time, you don't want to do it anyway.
Right.
Like, it doesn't even matter that, like, you're really good at this. Like, I don't care how good I was. I could not sit here and tell y'all I wanted to go to practice every single day.
Right.
Now, I went to practice and gave everything I had every day, but wanted to go to, I probably walked to practice like, man, this is some bull. Like saying it on the field while I'm running, But like you said, it's a very fine line. So the fact that she took time to step away from that because she understood what it was, the toll that it was taking on her, that is veteran Simone. Young Simone's not doing that.
Absolutely.
She's not doing that because she doesn't know yet.
And she got back on that bar. Right.
She hadn't been through enough for her to know that, you know what, I got enough in my bag right now that I ain't got to go do this right now. I'm not proving nothing to nobody. Because at this point, she's not proving nothing to nobody. She's the best in the world.
Period.
So she ain't got to prove nothing to nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she in a league of her own right now. But what is important is that she stays sane here. Because what she realizes that there's you reading this book, there's you watching this TV, there's me watching this TV, there's LeBron James watching this TV. People that actually need to hear this, need to know that it's okay to step away when you know that something's not right. I think that's a cool thing that she did.
Absolutely. Me too.
And I think that I've read part of that book. I haven't read all of it yet. I read part of it, a couple different excerpts, and her courage is incredible. Like the courage to soar, like that word courage, it's incredible. She's professionals.
You stole my line into the next question.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Let's go.
Before you move on in the chat, Mr. Philip White has something. He said, my most pivotal moment was when my son Philip was born at the beginning of my junior year at the U of A. I had two options when he was born. Number one, transfer back home to UR so I can be as active and present as I wanted to be. Or number two, stay on the Hill and finish my undergraduate degree. It was one of the most difficult decisions I've had to make at the time. I always wanted to be a Razorback my whole life. I was just 20 years old and still trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life. I decided to stay on the Hill even though I drove to Little Rock every single weekend that fall semester so my son would know who I am. As soon as I graduated 2 years later, I got a job in Little Rock so I could be in the same city as my son. Yes, seeing Simone Biles prioritize mental health is exactly what the Black community needs to see. The title of my autobiography will be called Go With Your Gut.
Okay, then. He white.
Phil, you a real one. You a real one for making that drive.
Every weekend.
You a real one for making that
Cause
drive.
listen, baby gonna catch me on Easter. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking, y'all. I'm just joking. I wouldn't be a deadbeat mom. Well, anyone else? No? No? Okay. So, what Mr. Williams stole. I'm just playing. So the title of her book, Courage to Soar, y'all, I mean, from the courage to want to stay with her grandparents, to want more from the situation that she was born with, to want to do gymnastics, to want to be the best that she can be in her field, to even mastering bars. You did gymnastics, right? I don't know if you're taller than me, but I'm short, like Simone, and bars, hands down, is the most difficult, right? Because I'm short. My arms are always going to be my downfall in bars. And so her fear when she fell off the bars is that she could not see, right? She's already having difficulty with grabbing it, but she made it. And again, all around since 2013. And so Courage to Soar is the best title for this book, the best title for this athlete. And I wanted to know, what would you guys name your autobiography? Oh, you already had that ready, huh?
I'm gonna hear this song, "Not Gonna Cry" by Mary J. Blige. When I'm on my way out, just play that.
Okay. Okay, cool. I feel like mine needs something with like dramatic in it. Dramatic did the job. Did the job dramatically, but I'm still here. Period. I don't know, something with drama in it because people say I'm dramatic, but I don't quite see it yet. So maybe my autobiography will highlight it. I'm not quite sure about the title yet though, but I'll let y'all know. Anybody else?
I think mine would be continuing with a period at the end. Because I feel like I'm just, I'm 20, I'm about to be 25, about to turn 25. So I feel like, I'm still young. I still have a lot more life to live and a lot more growth.
Mama gotta have a life too.
Okay? Like, I have a lot more growth. So it's continuing. I'm still learning about myself and figuring out what I like, what I don't like, and how I want to move in this life. So,
Okay. I like continuing, period.
period.
Okay. Okay, cool. Anybody else?
I think mine would be, it's a boss.
Yeah.
It's a what?
It's a boss.
Izza, but with no T, just ISSA, boss.
It's a boss.
Mommy's boss.
That's right. Anybody else?
What about you?
I have to think about that.
That's the title right there.
You might be right. You might be right. I have to think about that.
What about y'all? Miss Physics? You don't know?
That's a tough question. Tough question.
I feel like I need to be old to think. Like, I feel like I need to think about.
Excuse you?
I feel like I need to think autobiography. I'm only 24, so all I got is elementary and college. Like,
You don't have anything else? Okay, cool. Okay.
You done a lot so far.
I'm about to say, so what if one of your pictures make it like dope big? And I mean, right now, everybody calling after you. Now you gotta write a book. What's it gonna be called? Not Gonna Cry?
Yes.
Okay.
Not gonna cry.
Not gonna cry. Okay, cool.
Miss Shantae, hers will be still growing and becoming, or kicking ass and taking names.
That's the one. That's the one. That's that one right there. Y'all don't know. That's hers. I don't know, y'all. I want to come up with one. Maybe like Candid Kaylin.
What's your last name?
Shh. We're not there yet.
Did she use the word drama, but put like you like deep wrong? Like you put like a period in it.
Deep. Wrong.
Yeah, I thought you liked Shakespeare. Kaylin D.
Yeah. I like that too.
We can talk about that.
Okay, babe. No? Y'all don't have anything? Y'all like Alex, y'all had elementary undergrad.
I think I would say something like, I don't know, but like having to do with like doing stuff like girl do it or something.
I like girl do it.
I feel like I shy away from like opportunities, cause like I don't know, I just don't like putting myself.
Cause you're shy?
Yeah.
Because when I was talking to you earlier, you kept walking backwards.
Yeah, like I don't like putting myself out there, and I'm a real close person, cause I'm shy. So yeah.
I like girl do it. I'm gonna start telling myself that every morning when I get up, girl do it.
Where are you from?
Helena, Arkansas.
Okay then, Delta. Okay, Mr. Williams, what about you?
When I was a kid, my grandmother used to always say, keep living. She used to just always say that. And I used to always laugh at her like, yeah, duh, that's the plan. You know what I mean? Duh. But as I've gotten older, I realized what she meant. Like, you're going to go through everything at some point, but like, keep living. And if you ain't seen it yet, keep living. You're going to see it. Like, it's going to come up. And how you going to deal with it, right? Like, how you going to handle that situation, whatever. Or, you know, if something bad happened, like, keep living. You're going to be all right. It's another day, right? Like, as long as you got air to breathe, wake up, get to put your feet on the ground, like, you'll be all right. So, I'll probably tell her to keep living.
I like it too.
Amber White, Miss Amber White, she said hers would be, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again.
That's the one.
Okay, Leah, come on back, girl.
I like that. I like that. Well, let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. First, we want to thank our people for being our people. Thank you to the MC, the Center for Multicultural and Diversity Education, for letting us be here tonight and providing our delicious chips and dip. Thank you to DJ Dribbles because she was on the 1s and 2s and 3s. And thank you to Mr. King of Cracked Lens for taking our beautiful photos.
Appreciate y'all.
Okay, so remember I told y'all, friends, the free stuff. If you guys go follow us on Instagram and take a picture, it can be of your little Crocs over there, they're cute. I'm gonna find out where you got them from in a minute. And hashtag it Footnotes Book Club, you can be entered for a prize because y'all members now, remember? So you can get the book for next month. Alex, what about that book for next month? What did you hear about it?
Yeah, I heard that it was like what, #1 in the young adults. Or it was
That's what I heard too.
Netflix special.
It's a Netflix special. It's so crazy.
And she's also an Arkansas alum. Woo peak! OMG.
And your copy will be ours.
Oh, you didn't know that part, did you? And so because you're members now, remember? Look at these shirts, right? But no, y'all think I'm playing? I asked her for this earlier. Okay? Don't be funny now. And because we are launching our new season tonight, you may get the new logo. Ooh. And if you don't want it, I'll take it. Always remember. So go follow us. Go hashtag it. Take a picture of them Crocs, because I want them. And you may win. I can't fold y'all. You may win all these lovely things.
Keep living.
Huh? Keep living? Oh,
Figure
okay.
it out.
I like how you did that right there. Okay. Okay, well,
We're gonna announce the winner on Instagram.
see, follow, tag. We're going to announce it on Instagram. Okay? Okay? Okay. All right, what's next?
All right, cool. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. We have a special treat for you all. Like I said, we have a guest with us to talk about his upcoming book project. Mr. Damian Williams is from Springdale, Arkansas, and again, a former NFL veteran, wide receiver, and now author. You added that to the title. And Mr. Williams is going to share with us a little bit about his book and tell us what inspired him to take this next step in his journey. So we're just going to talk a little briefly. Wherever you feel comfortable. If you want to stay there, you can. Yeah. All right. All right. So, first of all, we want to thank you for coming down and joining us live. Like it's such an honor to have you here. Anytime we can pull you back to the University of Arkansas campus, it's a pleasure for us and an honor for us. So thank you for being here. First of all, I want to ask you just a few questions about your book. So, what led you to take this next step and become an author and add that to your titles?
It was actually like a series of events, right? My life coach, was a personal friend of mine, but life coach Ron Harris was very instrumental in doing this. We've talked I've known him since I was a little kid, and he's just always been there he low-key been a punching bag for real, just for me to just bounce off whatever I'm feeling at the time, and he helped me focus that and channel that into positive energy, right? And so he and I had just been talking for a while, and I think that was kind of like the cherry on top. One day he was just like, listen, we need to just go ahead and put this thing to paper. And I was like, okay. A friend of mine is actually an author. He's a published author. His name's Baylor Barty. And he wrote a book called Mentality. And I probably read this book in around like 2017, 18 maybe. And after meeting Baylor, I realized like this dude's got it. Like he's got it. And the thing about Baylor is he's a very intelligent dude, former athlete, but he understands the concept of focus and how to train your mental. A lot of people don't realize, it's no different than working out with weights, right? Like your brain's a muscle. It needs to be trained. It needs to be exercised. And there's certain parts of your brain that produce sadness, that produce anger, that produce confusion. And if we don't train our brains to handle those projections, which essentially that's what it is, you're projecting everything onto a screen, right, in your brain. If we don't train ourselves to handle those projections, we're going to be in a rough state. And that's where your depression sink in and whatnot. And I'll be honest with you, Kayla, to your point, I was one of those people that was always like, man, that junk's in your head. Like, anxiety's not real. Like you're not mentally tough is what I always thought, right? Until I was depressed. And I was trying to figure out, like, what the heck's going on in my life? I couldn't figure it out. Like, I'm talking about drowning and had no idea I was drowning. I just knew I wasn't going nowhere. And so one day I called called Ron, and I was kind of telling him what was going on, whatever. And I don't even know what it was I said to him. He was like, "Oh, that's it right there. Write that down." And to this day, I know I wrote it down. No idea where I put it, whatever. But he said, "Write that down." I wrote it down, and he said, "From now on, he was telling me, when you have these things, write it out, put it to paper, whatnot." And so I started doing that. And then I'd say the last thing was another Razorback alum, Miss Brooke McDowell. She's a very, very close friend of mine. She actually just wrote a book called Good Grief Workbook. And she had been going through some things, and she allowed me to be a part of that writing process. And seeing her go through that, I realized that a lot of times, my parents always told me as a kid that, what your blessings for you, right? And what's for you is for you, and you're going to receive your blessings regardless, right? But what I didn't realize when they told me that was that, like, what's for me might also be for you. And so while I was working through this workbook with Brooke to help her with her book, I realized, like, I don't know that this was written about you. This might have been written about me, right? And so, I think it just hit me one day while we were working. I'm like, okay, now I get it. Like, maybe this could help somebody else as well. And I think that was kind of like the culmination of things that led me to do it.
Can you share a working title with us?
Oh, I can definitely share the title. It's called Shipwrecked.
Shipwrecked.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell us about Shipwrecked, the title. What inspired you to label your book as, or title your book Shipwrecked?
So basically, I drew a parallel of life to being to set and sail at sea, and you're trying to navigate these rough and tumultuous waters, and you never know what's out there. There's all kinds of stuff you can't see that could get you from anywhere. But a lot of times in history, a lot of shipwrecks and whatnot have all happened. But what I realized in a lot of those stories is it's one ship. And so what if the Titanic had a couple ships? Like, you think all those people might have died? If you had a fleet of ships to protect you. And so I kind of set the story as you need a fleet of ships to navigate these waters. But fortunately for all of us, we have the same ships. We all have the same ships. It's about how you man them, or woman them. But that's what's most important. And then I'll give you there's 4 ships that you need. I'll give you the 4 ships, and then you got to read the book. But your 4 ships are your relationships, friendships, leaderships, and championships.
Can you say leadership?
Mm-hmm. And championships. And if you got those 4 ships in order, you won't become shipwrecked. But if you don't,
Can I buy this book now?
Exactly.
coming soon.
Nah, that's a whole sermon, lecture,
Yeah.
everything, that's all that. So, I guess to piggyback on the messages that you're sharing, why is this book important to you? Why is Shipwreck important to you?
Because I've been lost at sea, and it's no fun. Like, it's not. And I don't wish that on anybody. I've been in the darkest places. I've been in, and it's funny because the life of an athlete, in so many ways, is so glamorous. Like, it really is. Being a professional athlete, I'd be lying if I didn't say I had all the fun, because I did. All of it. But I know my parents are listening. Sorry. But I'm pretty sure at this point they know. I had a lot of fun. But the mental aspect of trying to, you just become a people pleaser. Because you spend so much of your time dedicated to your sport where the people around you, they see that that's time for you. But realistically, it's not. Like, you're doing something you love to do, but that was my job. So like, when I come home, I need time for me. But come home, you got kids, family. You come home, you got other stuff to do. You got to handle these people. Most likely you the breadwinner, so you got to take care of this person or that person. And when all that stops, what are those relationships really, right? Like what's your value? Why? Trying to figure out why you feel the way that you feel and what you're feeling is something that a lot of athletes don't get a chance to do until they're done. And sometimes that's too late. And so my purpose for writing this book was to let people know that A, they're not alone, but also I feel like there's a lot of ships at sea that aren't going anywhere. Like everybody's at sea and everybody's got all this information, but like anybody telling you what to do with it? Anybody telling you, you know, okay, prime example. You say, hey, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. You know, I've got all these classes, I'm trying to do this extracurricular stuff. I want to hang out with my friends and still go home to see my family and all this, that, and the third. And your mama's going to tell you, well, get your priorities together, right? Okay, cool. How? If my priorities are together right now, what makes you think I know how to do that? You laugh, but in real life, when you don't have your priorities together and somebody tells you to get your priorities together, you're not going to get this job, or get your priorities together, or you're going to lose your kid, or get your priorities together, or you're not going to see tomorrow. And you're like, okay, cool, let me do that. And then you get some paper like, where do I start? How do I do this, right? And I've read so many self-help books that I don't know who was helping. I mean, and they're published daily. And a lot of times these books will tell you, you know, you got to do this, 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 and list all these things for you to do. But they don't tell you how to do them. And so hopefully that's what my book can do, is tell you how to do these things.
Yeah, that's great, because that was my last kind of question for you, is the message that you want your audience to take away. So is it the how to approach these relationships, or these different ships?
The message that I really want people to take from this is that it doesn't matter how much help you get. If you don't do it for you, it ain't gonna work. No matter what it is you're trying to do. Because eventually you'll go right back to that place. And I've been there, went left, thought I was out of there, came back. It's happened time and time again. But if you don't fix you, and if you don't fix the environment in which you cultivated, because you have to cultivate the environment in order for you to receive what you're trying to receive. You can't want to be a football player and don't own no cleats. I'm just telling you. So if you don't fix those things, then it doesn't matter what other people can do for you. I could give you $10 million right now. Sure. But if you don't know how to invest in $10 million, or if you don't know where to put that $10 million, you're going to lose it all in the same spot. Happens every day. Every single day. And so if there's one thing that I want people to take away from it, is that. It's just that the power is within you, and it is you that can change everything. But it's you that also has to change everything.
Can I ask one question? So, I am a reader. I love to read. I read anything but political science and history books, undergrad or only.
That's fair.
What, if we were to caption your book when it publishes, when it comes out, we can buy it. What would we caption it to get others to buy your book? What would be your caption for your post?
That is a good one. Okay, marketing. So the original title that I had before it was just Shipwrecked, it was Shipwrecked An Introspective Journey to Success. That was the original title, and then I was told you need to just, oh, I'm sorry, this went just shipwrecked, right? But I think that either that one or a verse that's always stuck with me is Proverbs 13:20, and it says, you know, those who walk with the wise become wise, but those who are companions of fools suffer harm. And like I said, this book is about how you man your ships. So I think that one of those two would probably be the capture, I guess.
So what I heard is January is Black wealth, but Team Visionary came up with this is really hard to find Black, wealth books that are interesting, right? And so we created it with success. And so last January, so this January, we did Stacey Abrams book. So what I'm hearing is we can invite you back in January for Black success / wealth.
Holla at me.
All right, cool.
They got my number. They can call me anytime.
So I have a question for you, David. You talked about, because we've been talking about mental health, you talked about, being in some of the lowest of places that you've ever been in your life. How did you pivot? How did you turn? How did you
Therapy. Gotta go. I don't care if you're not feeling nothing wrong. Go to therapy. At some point, everybody needs to go to therapy. And so here's the funniest thing. I was watching, I watch T.D. Jakes' sermon every morning, right? And one time, T.D. Jakes made me feel so stupid because he said, people go to therapists all the time, pay them all this money to understand themselves. He was like, you think about that. You pay that much money to understand who you are. But all they're doing is just listening to you talk about you, right? And I just started cracking up because I'm like, dang, that makes so much sense. But in all reality, that's what a therapist does. They help you streamline all the craziness that's up here and put it into something that's tangible or something that you can possibly place on the timeline, right? And as you put these events on your timelines, that's how you measure your progression, right? And so, therapy, I would say therapy. Or find you somebody who's A1 that you can really ride with.
I wanted to ask, because you mentioned having time for yourself. So I can't imagine, at least in my experience, being so good at something that I'm competing on a high level. I'm still a student. But even in my own experience, I find I have to pick up photography to make myself sit still as far as feeling 17 hours a semester, having to perform, I'm passing these, but not passing that one, or, dead, alone, all that stuff. And for this, photography is what it makes me kind of sit down and think, look at this differently. You see what I'm saying? So I was wondering, what were things that you did, I don't know if you're talking about in the book, but what are things that you did that kind of, once you took the cleats off, got home, showered, sat on your couch, and you was like, this sounds fun to me, or this makes me be still, or this, when I'm not hearing the fans, I'm not hearing my family, when I'm not hearing, I'm talking about my account, all that stuff, where you feel centered by yourself. Because that's how I feel with photography. So I was wondering, the pressure that you had, I can imagine, what made you kind of just sit?
So I didn't even realize it that I never did that until I retired. I had no idea. I really didn't know. I felt like, yeah, of course I took time for myself. And I'm talking to a therapist. She's like, well, what'd you do? And I was like, well, I had nothing. I couldn't tell her what I was doing. Well, I played video games. That didn't count. I really didn't. But I actually got bailed out because I had a kid as soon as I retired. Literally retired, and my baby was born a couple months later. So that was one thing that really kept me centered and kept me grounded. I played 3 sports year-round my whole life. So from the time I was 6 years old until the time I was 27, I never had any off time. always doing something, forever, right? And so when I got done, having my daughter was time for me to like really sit still and like appreciate life, right? But I wasn't even really appreciating mine at the time. I was appreciating hers, but then I got a chance to like see myself. It was literally like a reflection of myself watching her grow, right? And so I think that, and even still to this day, like it's a blessing. But I think that that's what really was my time to like, okay, let me kind of sit back, reflect on where I've been, what I've been going through. And in being a father, I realized, like, especially to a little girl, I realized there's a lot of stuff I had to get in order, because if not, like, it was going to damage her. And that was something that I couldn't have on me. That can't be on my spirit. So I think that was probably the biggest thing for me.
I have a question. So, I know that you are a former NFL player, and I don't know if we talk about that specifically in your book. It seems like your book can register to everyone in here just by reading it. But me, I'm gonna go back. I'm from an HBCU, and I feel like it's different from. I'm not gonna say being an athlete is different or different for everyone, but maybe being a black athlete, especially at PWI, is kind of the same black bodies. But there's not a space for mental health there. Like, we have a whole CAP center. Here's a whole building for mental health. But let's say at my HBCU, it's only 2 counselors in the entire university for everyone, not even specifically for athletes or just anything. So I was wondering if you or whenever you get published, if you're going to go on tour and really like speak out to these places or go to these schools where it seems like there's a lack of mental health awareness compared to these different or larger PWI.
Oh, absolutely. I mentioned my friend Baylor. We actually have a plan to next year do that. That's in our plans to go on tours, and HBCUs, we're definitely going to hit them. One thing I will say to you is, as a black person in general, your whole life you're told life's not fair, right? A lot of white kids aren't told that. I never really realized that until I got older. Like, there's not a lot of white kids aren't told that life's not fair, because for most of the time for them it is, but for us it's not. So we already start off mentally at a disadvantage, thinking that we're not necessarily less than, but we're not going to be afforded as much. And we got to find a way to break that stigma, right? Which is why on HBCU campuses there's only 2 counselors, right? Because in our community, mental health isn't a priority. It's never been a priority. But unfortunately for us, it's never really been able to be a priority, because we've had other things that we've had to kind of fight before we got to deal with ours, right? And so I think it's extremely important to get that word out, and I will definitely do my best to do that, for sure.
Any other questions? Okay, Damon, would you mind telling us where we can connect with you and where we can find out where the book will be released?
Yes, so my Instagram is dwill17, 1 spelled out ONE, the number 7, and I will be posting on there when and how to purchase the book and all of that stuff, release dates and whatnot. But I'll make sure all of you guys get a copy through them.
Autograph?
Of course. I wouldn't be an athlete if I did that. So I'll definitely make sure to do that. And then if there's anything changes, I'll keep you guys updated. For sure.
Thank you. Go get your Instagram handle again.
It's dwill, ONE, and the number 7.